My name is Wong Meng. I'm from the National Institute of Education at the Nanyang Technological University. A little bit of just a very quick visual description. I've got short hair. I'm almost going to say I've got very little hair left, so very thankful that I've got some hair. I'm wearing a brown suit today with a dark shirt inside. I also wanted to say that I can join the middle age, right? It's been middle age, right, all this while. Unfortunately, Prime Minister, I think in his last PM's National Day rally, he has categorized me as a young senior. So I'm not very happy with that. We'll see what happens in the forthcoming general elections. But okay, that's it. Enough of bantering from me. So let me introduce, and I'm very happy to actually meet Dr. Jennifer Wong here. We come from National Institute of Education, but today I'm actually meeting her for the first time, so I really appreciate this opportunity. Dr. Wong is a senior lecturer at the Visual Performing Arts Department. Next to Dr. Wong is Mr. Marvin Tang, and he's director and producer at Superheroes Me. Following is Miss Samantha Bounaparte, whom I told her she's got a very formidable name. She's program chair in Diploma in Arts, Entertainment, and Program Management at Republic Polytechnic. And finally, we have Miss Sabrina Mock, who is senior teacher at the Cerebral Palsy Alliance Singapore School. So we have a wonderful mix of practitioners, researchers in our midst today. So can we get a nice warm round of applause for our nice panelists here? So I think I will open the session and hand it over to Jennifer to maybe take us through some of the work that you're doing, and from what we had, some conversations that we've already had, I'm sure you will also find this very enlightening. So over to you, Jennifer. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jennifer, and I work at the National Institute of Education, Nanyang Technological University, from the Visual and Performing Arts Department. I am Chinese, female, long hair, and I wear glasses. Today I'm wearing a yellow jacket. I got to look to make sure. Yellow jacket, white shirt, and black pants. I'd like to thank ArtDis for this invitation to share about my work. So today, in 12 minutes, I'll try and present the key findings from our research project. I just realized when I looked at the slides just now that I forgot to write down the title of our research, which is very naughty. So the research is AISS, which is Artists in School Scheme, where we examine the engagement of in and through the arts in special education schools. So this was a project that was done in 2022. To 2024. So I'll take us through an introduction to the research and then the strategies and practices of the artists, and then the engagement and the benefits of working in and through the arts with students in the special ed schools. So the research study, as I've mentioned, started in 2022 and 2022. The data collection really started in Feb 2023, and it culminated the research active data collection ended in February 2024. So this examines the Artists in School Scheme, which was a program that has started by the National Arts Council sometime in 2012. So by the time the research started, the program has already been ongoing for about 10 years. So in this research, what we were really looking at was two-pronged. First was looking at arts education and engagement of the arts through the lens of student engagement. And then the second prong was the pedagogies and strategies of the artists who are working in the schools. So during the active data collection period, we identified and we interviewed artists who are working in the schools, and we identified 4 different artists as case studies. And so what I'm going to present next are findings from the study. So the data collection was done firstly through survey. So we surveyed 78 students. We adapted the survey according to Csikszentmihalyi's flow theory. And because of the diversity of the students in their capabilities and abilities, the survey was an 8-question survey that was created very simplistically with pictures. So students didn't have to read too many words. They choose pictures to explain how they felt about programs or their responses towards how they were engaged in class or whether they liked the programs or not. And then we also surveyed 16 artist educators, 26 teachers, and 80 parents and caregivers about their perceived perceptions of the engagement in and through the arts. The interviews were conducted with 18 artist educators, 8 students from the case studies, 10 parents, caregivers, and 14 teachers who were involved in the AISS programs. So the teachers and parents, caregivers are the ones who are sometimes involved in the arts programs, as in they're actively volunteers, or they are assisting the teachers, as well as teachers who are there conducting the program alongside the artists. And then we also had close to 36 hours of lesson observations of the 4 student programs and 2 professional development programs that happened during the research period. So what are the strategies and practices used by the artists? So across the various art forms, we have very broadly categorized the art forms into drama, music and movement, music and visual art. So perhaps you might ask the question, there's drama, there's music movement, there's music, and then there's visual art. What happened to dance? Unfortunately, during the period of the research, there wasn't a dance program that was active. And therefore, we were unable to conduct a case study on the dance classroom. And therefore, because there was a huge number of music programs that were going on at that period of time, we have decided and then also sought the approval from NAC to include 1 additional music program instead. So what are the strategies, what are the common strategies that are used across the art forms in the classrooms? There's a heavy use of props and visual aids. So that's something that we have observed, and during the interviews, this is also articulated by the different artists. The props and visual aids come in the form of very carefully, very intentional visual support for the students. For example, in the drama classroom, colored placeholders were put on the floor so that students could remember the movement and where they were supposed to be according to the colors. So that provides an additional layer of support for them. For music classroom, for example, there are different types of musical instruments, of course, that the students touch, they play with, and also it's used as a way to encourage them to move. So they have to reach out. So for students who are physically less able, the different types of instruments are there placed on their table to encourage them to move, to touch, to feel, and to make sounds with it. In the visual art classroom, the different props and visual aids come in the form of laminated cards to show students the different steps. For example, in the ceramic classroom, a video of the steps to create the piece of artwork that is played on a repeated loop so that students can watch it and then make the artwork at the same time. Close proximity call and response, we have also observed that artists work very closely in close proximity, very near to individual students. All these arts programs and classes are conducted in groups. But the artists would take time to work with individual person in very close proximity, very often guiding their hands, touching them, bringing them physically to different spots, touching them to, taking their hands to touch the instrument. And the call and response is as a way of communication. So for example, in the music classroom, as a starting routine, the artist uses a ukulele and she walks around the classroom and she'll greet every single one. She'll sing a hello song and she'll say hello to the student. And then after that, the student replies by singing back a line. So for example, she says, "Good morning, Peter." And Peter sings back a line to say, "Good morning, Miss So-and-so." And then the student reaches out to strum the ukulele as a response. So these are strategies that they use in very close proximity with their students to encourage interaction, to encourage a response, and to acknowledge them as individuals. Repetitions. So we see that there are a lot of repetitions happening in the classroom. The repetitions are not exactly work that's done again and again and again, but it is with scaffolding and very heavily scaffolded means of working. So the first time, it could be that the students complete level 1 and 2, and then level 1 and 2 is repeated in the next class, and level 3 is then added to the demands. And then level 1, 2, and 3 repeated, and then they approach level 4. So there's constantly repetition in the strategies that they're using in the activities to help the students build that familiarity, to help the students understand that, okay, today I will definitely work on step 1 and 2, and they will gain mastery in that way before they are being challenged to try something new, to try something more difficult. Fostering the sense of ownership and resonance also features very strongly in the way the artists work with their students. So students are always given an option, they're always asked, and they're very frequently asked, what would you like to do? What would you like to do next? What color would you like? What sound do you want to hear? Would you like to try the ukulele or the bass guitar? So students in the music and movement program, for example, they get a choice of what kinds of instruments they want to play. And very often they play multiple instruments. So one student in one ensemble performance is able to play multiple instruments. And those are instruments that they want to try or they want to play. In the drama program as well, the students get to make a lot of decisions about how the character is played, how they want to present a particular character. And the sense of ownership and resonance comes to the students also because they feel that the story is mine, or the artwork is mine because I made the decision on how to make it, how I want to present it. So it's got a lot of who they are and what it is that is being presented in the form of the product. And then they challenge the students beyond their own comfort zones. So the artists have all articulated that they refuse to accept that this is what the students can do only. Because very often before a program, the artists will be briefed by the teachers. These are the conditions of the students. These are who the students are. This is what you can encounter in the classroom. And the teachers very often will look beyond all of that because they refuse to accept that the students are only able to do this. So they challenge the students to move beyond their comfort zones. So students with multiple disabilities, for example, or with short attention span, they push them to do a little bit more every single time they meet them. And therefore, like I've mentioned just now, students whom the teacher said, okay, this particular child has short attention span, but during the whole ensemble performance of maybe 15 minutes long, the student is able to come in right on time, right rhythm, right tempo, every single time he or she is supposed to play a part and supposed to come in with a particular instrument because they're managing, many of them are managing multiple instruments. So the teachers refuse to accept that. So with the different strategies and practices that we have witnessed in the classroom, we think it really boils down to three very obvious practices that they have, or pedagogical intentions. The first one is this flexibility and care that they exhibit, that the artists exhibit when they work in the special ed schools. The flexibility comes from their practice. I think as very experienced practitioners, arts practitioners, they are also very highly reflective. they are very present in the moment where they are working with the students. And therefore, with that kind of experience, with that kind of abilities, and of course, a bag of tools, right? Because they are practicing artists themselves. They pull out different types of strategies, different types of games, different types of activities, different ways to engage students in a very, very diverse classroom. Some of them manage 5 students in class. Some of them manage 25 students in a class. So in an hour, they pull out different types of activities to try and engage every single student, so that flexibility of care and that flexibility in the way they are teaching in the classroom thus becomes a key point in how they're engaging their students. And also that whole agency that I won't say they empower, but I think they offer to the students to make decisions, really supports the students in wanting to be engaged, in wanting to be present in the classroom. And lastly, is the disregarding of the conditions. Like one of the artists said, they're humans. I just look at them as humans, and I look beyond the condition. And when you push them, you notice that they actually love a good challenge, and they want to be challenged. So I'll move on very quickly to then the engagement and benefits. So what? So what after we have done all these, right? So what if we have engaged them in and through the arts? So the key engagement and benefit that we have noticed in the research is enjoyment. So we take Csikszentmihalyi's theory of flow, when you enjoy doing something so much that time just goes past and you don't even notice it. You're so absorbed in that activity that you want to do it at all costs, that even if it's challenging. We use that as the principle of examining flow in this research. And it was found that, for enjoyment, there's an obvious sense of joy that was observable in the room, right? And parents have told us, teachers have told us that the students want to be in that arts space, that students actually get very upset. Some of them throw a tantrum when the lesson is cancelled on that day because of some school event, and because they enjoy it so much, they actually want to come to school. So one of the parents have said that, my child can say that, it's okay to miss all the other days, but I cannot miss it on the day of drama. So she has to be in school on the day of drama. And that really is, I think, very significant piece of evidence that tells us that the students enjoy the arts space. Engagement in terms of cognitive, behavioral, and emotional benefits, I think the students are challenged to think like what I've said just now, and they enjoy that kind of challenge. They want to be challenged in that way. Behaviorally, they collaborate. There's evidence also that points at them interacting more with their peers, because it's an egalitarian space. They see the arts space as an egalitarian space. So we have students who, in the art space, become more collaborative, more willing to speak with somebody. And when they see that other students aren't able to do something, for example, in the ceramic space, some student may, because of the hands not being as flexible, is unable to create a particular shape, some students will actually step in and say, hey, let me help you. So that collaboration, that behavior, and also they are more willing to interact with each other. Like in the music space, where we see they are happy to say, hey, you didn't come in on time. I'll give you a cue. So those are important indicators for us during the research that tells us that students enjoy being in that space, and friendships are formed because they are engaging in the art making. The sense of self-esteem and confidence, I think many students have articulated that they see themselves as artists. They see themselves as art makers. So the experience of making art, the experience of being engaged in the art, have provided them an opportunity to adopt a different identity, that they are now artists. They have artworks that they are proud of. For example, in the ensemble music program, students want to perform. They want to perform in public because they say, I make music and I want other people to hear me play. So that shift in identity and that shift in self-confidence, the willingness to be presented, the willingness to be on stage, or the willingness to have their work exhibited because they're proud of it, that's a shift in their sense of who they are. Social emotional skills, some parents have also articulated that now their children are more willing to talk about their feelings. They're more willing to share the events in school, especially after the arts program, or when they come home from the arts program. Teachers have said that, parents have said that, oh, my child actually comes back and tells me that, oh, he did this in art class, or he did this in music class. And some of the teachers also have said that although they are not involved in the arts program, they have students who come to them and say that just now we had a really fun art class because this is what we did. Students are more interested to go to school, like I've mentioned just now, and exposure to various art forms. Because of the AISS program, schools have the financial support and the means to know who are the artists who are willing to and happy to teach in SPED schools. They have that link to engage different artists, to engage students in various art forms. So very quickly, I know I have no time. So just to share a few voices from the interviews. So we have a teacher who said that whenever we play this sort of activity, he will laugh, the student will laugh, and he will make some noise, which is rare because I don't really hear him laugh or make noises in other instances. The student says, I like to perform outside because it shows that our hard work pays off. And a parent says, yeah, before this, we cannot go out. We cannot go with the school for any of the outing, but now we can. Yeah. I think that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Two things. You mentioned about being human, and I think that was really one of the points this morning was made about how just looking at humanity as a fundamental reason to think about being inclusive, right, in our practices. You talk about flow, Jennifer. You definitely was in the flow just now. Okay. Great job. Thank you so much. You're sharing with so much passion. Thank you. Can I invite Mr. Melvin Tang to follow up next, please? Thank you.
Hi everyone. My name is Marvin. I am the director as well as producer at Superhero Me. I am a I review my own age. I'm a 35-year-old male. I have short hair. I'm currently dressed in a printed floral shirt from Uniqlo at $39.90 if you're interested. So beyond my role at Superhero Me, I'm also an educator at both NTU as well as LaSalle College of Arts. I'm also a practicing artist, which it just bolsters my interest in how the arts can be used in our community. So Superhero Me, just to introduce us a little bit, this is actually our 10th year anniversary at Superhero Me. And just tracking back, just doing these slides also allowed me to track back on what we have done so far. Superhero Me is a neurodiverse, multidisciplinary collective on a mission to push the boundaries of inclusion through the creative arts. And that is something that is really close to our hearts. Just to give you a sense of how what we do and how we do things, there are three principles that are really important to us. The first is empowerment. We want to put the collaborators that we work with at the forefront of the stage, allowing them to voice themselves and also allow their works to be shown. Second, it's also really important for us to bridge communities. So in the past, from 2016 all the way to 2019, we used to hold what we call the inclusive camps, where we bring children from all walks of life together to come and enjoy a 2-day camp where we come and create and make together and learn from one another. It was also a very good opportunity for social mixing where they get to come together and ask questions they never really had opportunities to ask before. And that is so important because we realize that when you start breaking that barrier, you are actually creating this opportunity to breach understanding about people who might look different or feel different from you. And finally, one of the most important part of our DNA is really about challenging societal assumptions. So if you look at this photograph over here, on the left-hand side, we have Shanice. Shanice is a mime performer. At the same time, she's also a theater performer. We also have Karina over here. Karina actually now works at the Rainbow Center. We also have Sarah. Sarah is in a blue, bright, shimmery costume. Sarah is actually a play therapist. And on the right-hand side, with the white color costume, we have Austin, who is actually training to be an NIE teacher. And right in the center, it's Kylie. Kylie is a student from Rainbow Center, and she was performing as Happy Star. Now, our collective is full of people from all walks of life. None of us are SPED trained. Well, some of us eventually were. But it is this collective and very eclectic group of people that make us who we are, because we're able to bring in so many different people to create this thing. So, for example, in this particular performance, this is Universe of Feelings. This was done in the midst of COVID. We were actually the first, or at least from my understanding, one of the first children's theatre to come back to the Esplanade. And we were like, none of the producers, we are trained in the theatre. I came from a photographic background. My co-producer is actually a teacher. So when we were asked to do this, like, my gosh, we are not trained at all. How do we do this? And so very thankfully, we actually have Samantha, who was our director at the same time. So that kept us grounded. So you could see that actually in order for us to do the impossible, we need people who believe in the impossible as well. So we are very thankful to have all these people who are willing to experiment, tinker, and really push the boundaries together with us. Over the years, we really had a chance to do many, many different things. We first started as a costume crafting kind of collective. We worked a lot with recyclable materials. And over time, we got to work with organizations like SG Enable, where we actually managed to have a space at Enabling Village. We turned it into a workshop space. It's almost like an art residency. And we held all different kind of workshops. And that's where we continue our DNA in social mixing, where we got children of all, from everywhere to come in and really participate in the workshops that we have. We also turned a rental flat at Lengkok Bahru into a museum where we presented our history as well as artworks that were made by our children as well. And finally, I chose the last photograph because I thought it was very important when we started bridging into the community, where we were starting to work with caregivers as well and trying to hear a more holistic picture of what it means to have a child with special needs as well. So this was a very expanded view of what we are working in. But one of the core things that really framed all these things that we do is what we call our inclusive framework. So I'm very thankful that I get to speak after Dr. Jennifer, because actually so much of what she was describing is also what we are doing as well, just that we needed the right language. So it's really important for us to hear what Dr. Jennifer has said. Now, in our inclusive framework, I call it 1.0 because it is never completed. I don't think any inclusive framework is meant to be completed because every time when we meet someone new, something new is added to the formula. But the 4 key principles that we think about whenever we plan any program is this 4 things: people, place, program, and personally. When we talk about people, are we prepared to kind of work with everyone that's in the room with us? When we think about the place, do we have the calm room? Do we have a calm corner to make sure that if someone needs a calm space, it is ready for them? Is the program ready? Do we have the right goals for the program? Is it about social mixing or is it about skill learning? And also personally, are we personally ready as a facilitator? And what should we prepare ourselves for? And this is a framework that I'm always very excited to really broaden out, because every time when we meet new people, when we meet new needs, we realize that there's an opportunity to expand this framework. Now, one of the key things that we do at Superhero Me is capability building. And as I mentioned, because we work in the arts, we are very interested in working with the artistic community. And thankfully, from as early as 2014 all the way to 2020, we had an amazing opportunity to work with a large group of creatives to build their inclusive practice through the inclusive framework. And that was something really important for us to continue on in our practice. So in 2020, during the pandemic, we actually decided that, hey, actually we realized there are many more creatives out there that are interested to work with our community, but we need a space to do so. And that was how GROW came about. GROW is an inclusive arts mentorship for creatives. It is a collaborative program for them to learn about disability awareness, accessibility, and assistive technology. We are very thankful, all right, I'm trying very hard not to pitch like this is an Apple thing, but we are very thankful to actually got to work with Adrian from Apple Initiative, as well as Today at Apple to present this project. And this really came from a space because we were getting more and more interested in the use of technology in the arts as well. So we realized that many of the children that are around us with special needs, they actually use an interface with technologies like the iPhone and the iPad. And some of you might recognize this as well. So why should we shun away from it? Why not embrace it? Why not do something more with it? And that was something we want to move towards. So in the first two editions of Grow, we have worked with a total of 9 different creatives, and they come from all walks of life. We have many illustrators. We have a children's book illustrator. We have an animator. We have a musician, and we also have a dance artist as well. So we got to really broaden and think about how we can use tech across all these people as well. Over time, we also work with many of the children from our community. We call them our collaborator because we see them on equal footing with our creatives. They are creating together. This was Grow 3. This was just last year, and we decided to open this framework of Grow, where it's not just stuck to one artist and one child. Instead, we wanted to take these ideas and these workshops out into the community, and we worked with Rainbow Center. Rainbow Center is actually Superhero Me's inclusion partner, and we worked with Rainbow Center to actually bring some of these workshops over, and to also explore what would an inclusive framework look like if we bring it to the classroom. So over here, you see students from Rainbow Center, Yishun Park from the top. At the bottom left, you see students from Rainbow Center, Margaret Drive, and all the way at the bottom right, you see them from Emerald Hill, their latest campus. So when we talk about grow, how do we grow? So there are certain things that we learned that were very important in our process. And one of it is really connecting. I liked earlier there was a speaker who talked about the need for time. And time is so important for the work in inclusion. It's also important to craft time to connect. Because it's not enough for us to just take people together and put them into the room and hope something will happen. I mean, every day when I go to a meeting, I find it difficult, right? So I'm sure many of us find it difficult as well. So it's really important for us to allow our collaborators to have a safe space to meet and develop friendship first, all right? And the second is to think about learning. So learning is not just limited to our collaborators. Learning is also for the creatives as well. How can they expand their viewpoint of their own medium? How can dance, how can music, how can even animation be pushed forward with the use of technology? And finally, is to think also about adapting. Okay, not finally, the third point. It's also to think about adapting. Because some of these workshops we realize may not be completely accessible. So how can we design the workshops to be more accessible, to be more inclusive, and allow our participants, our collaborators to have more control, creative control over the project? And finally, one of the most important things we believe is about sharing. It's about allowing our collaborators to self-advocate and speak about their project through their own voice and experience. So I'm just going to use a case study. So over here we have Hong Shin. Hong Shin is on the far right, together with Risk, who is in the mobility device, and Kois. These Riz and Kois are twin brothers, and they got to work together with Hong Shin, who is actually a local children's book author. You may find some of his books on your shelf. Some of you may even have his book. And we have worked with Hong Shin for many, many years. So when we invited Hong Shin to join us for Grow, it was largely because we wanted to see what else he would like to pursue together with us as well. So when we first have everyone in the room together, we got everyone to get to learn a little bit more about each other. For example, we learned that Riz and Kois really like spending time to think about stories. They'll craft very interesting stories among themselves, and we learned that they really like playing with Lego. So Hong Shin actually took all these ideas, explored different applications, and think about how could he share storytelling to both these siblings. Now, another thing, as I mentioned, the siblings love Lego, but Lego is an IP product, so we can't use Lego in an actual video. So we also wanted them to learn a new skill as well. So Hong Shin also decided that, you know what, let's try getting the boys to actually create clay sculptures for their animation. So the boys actually had to learn how to create these claymation tools, as well as together with Hong Shin as well. Now, another important part, as I mentioned, is it's not just important for them to form a relationship, but also mention about adapting. So, for example, this is what we worked towards. We ended up creating a stop-motion animation together with the brothers. And what we realized was that Kois was very much able to support us by changing and maneuvering all the characters. But we also want Risk to be able to support us as well. So we looked at what is already in their ecosystem. Risk was already using AACs, and he was also using and experimenting with this thing called a jelly bean, which essentially is an assistive technology that allows you for soft touch and therefore activating something else. So we experimented, and we found that I could actually connect the jelly bean to my computer and a computer to my camera, and by de facto, he became our photographer for the stop motion. So over here in this video, what you are seeing is that Kois will go and arrange the stop motion scene, And once he's ready, Reese will press that jelly bean and take a photograph for us for the stop motion. And so, very importantly, it was also an opportunity for them to share. So as I mentioned, this project is in partnership with Apple, as well as Today at Apple. So we got to bring all their friends, the public, all their teachers as well, to come and listen to them share about this project, which is called Everything is Okay with Friends. Now, I don't have time to share the video here, but if you're interested, the video is available on our website as well. So a very quick touch also to think about what is required for us to do grow. Now, what we tend to often avoid is that we think that maybe the children we work with can't do the software part. But actually what we learned is that actually they're really good at using the software, the technology part. They're very quick to adapt, just like any other child that we work with. So we have learned all these different kind of applications that are available on the iPad, iPhone, and other applications as well. That has been very helpful in our process. Now, the other part that's also equally important is the hardware. It's not just important to look at the software, but we still need to bring back things like AACs, props, and adaptive technology or accessibility technology. Now, take for example the image over there, where one of our artists, Ida, we learned that one of the boys actually didn't really like the iPad, maybe because he's more interested in sensorial stuff. So what Ida actually did was, instead of just coming back to the iPad, she actually designed a corrector face on felt, and she created all these tools where the children can actually throw it onto the faces and create this three-dimensional face as well. Now, at the heart of what we do at Superhero Me, the most important thing is the hardware. You can have all the software and hardware, but it is the people that make Superhero Me. Our captains, our producers, and also the caregivers, teachers, because we look to them to give us advice on how we can work with the children that we work best. So often, the answer we often say is in the room. And we just really got to look around the room and see who are the people that we can speak to. Now, just to share a little bit on what's going on next for us, I think what's really important for us is that we always want to continue growing our creative community and also create new opportunity in the arts. So just last year, we launched a new program together with Rainbow Center called the Junior Captains Program, where we are training students with autism and children from Rainbow Center to be facilitators that can support us in our workshop. So last year, we actually had a pilot test where we brought our junior captains to NMS, and they supported the Amazonian workshop that we did together with the National Museum of Singapore. So when I think about the arts is a really wonderful conduit for inclusion. It's a wonderful opportunity for us to experiment, to create, and to really explore what is possible, what is impossible. So if you're interested and you have an impossible project that you're thinking about, I welcome you to come journey with us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Melvin, for sharing. Indeed, I think how you described it is very nice. It's like a sandbox, isn't it, of what creation can take place. And I also reminded what you were mentioning about oftentimes the answers in the room. Your 4 Ps, definitely, I think, very, very applicable. People, place, program, and personal. I almost forgot, so thankfully I couldn't remember the 4 Ps. But how wonderful that is, because it's so easily remember. We can recall that, and very quickly applicable as well. Thank you so much. The next, I think, maybe presenters, both Miss Samantha Bounaparte and Sabrina Mock, presenting, can I say, as a bit of a pair?
Yes,
okay,
that's
yes.
right.
So
Yes.
I'll over to you to do the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. I know it's been a long day, so thank you for giving us time and space to share our stories. I am Samantha. I am a Singaporean Eurasian with hair tied in a low bun. I am wearing spectacles that are black framed and a beige blouse with black pants. To my right is Sabrina.
Hi everyone, I'm Sabrina. I'm a senior teacher in Cerebral Palsy Alliance Singapore. I'm a Chinese female and I have my shoulder length half tied up. I'm in my black and white striped knit top today with khaki pants. Yep.
Okay, so today I guess what I'll be sharing is a bit of our multi-sensory productions that I've been doing at Republic Polytechnic just over 10 years. And these shows are actually done by our final year project students from the School of Technology for the Arts, Media and Design at Republic Polytechnic. These shows actually came from a need of me wanting to really share the magic and experience of theatre to our neurodiverse communities, which typically at that point in time, they didn't really have much opportunities to experience what the true magical stories can unfold in theatre. So here we have a video that my students actually put together, showcasing some of the shows that we have done across the year. So we'll just watch this for a bit. Yes, so thank you. Behind the mayhem and confetti that you see on screens is really a creative philosophy that is largely driven through a very audience-centric dramaturgy, where I believe the world and environment of the story speaks as loudly or sometimes louder than the performers, a view that inspires our sensory work in trying to understand how our audiences see the world. What makes them tick, what stimulates them, what calms them down, how do they move, and how do they connect. So these are really important points that inspire our work. And this is driven by a very collaborative ethos, which is nothing about us without us, right? To ensure authentic, inclusive, and co-created experiences that is built around those observations. And from there, the story comes in. So I do not start with a story. I start with how the audience sees the world. And I think this comes from the fact that aside from accessibility, I believe it is the connection that's important as well. As an educator, I have the heavy responsibility of making sure that we build the next generation of artists and theatre makers to create works, right, that are responsive, inclusive, and also very reflective of diverse experiences. So as you can see, the shows are really created from ground up, and they are specifically catered for neurodiverse audiences, and more recently, audiences with complex disabilities, as I started to work with CPAS. So what we do is as a school, I work with a drama CCA, helmed by Gloria Tan, who is also my partner in crime. And this drama CCA has students from all walks of diploma life and different faculties. And together with my theatre production students, they come together and create these interactive and immersive performances, ensuring that there's direct engagement from actor to audience, as well as in the production side of things to make sure production elements are strongly infused with sensory experiences as well. So what accumulates to a very customized experience, highly tailored to specific needs of audience. A typical show is 6 to 15 pax per show. Each time we stage a show, we have people asking me, could you open more seats, please? And we will strictly say no, because these shows are really, really, a one-on-one response and in a sharing. It's a very personal sharing, sensorial moment with actor and audience as well. I think because of this, we did one show at CPAS where we had a 10-show day. We literally put up 10 shows from morning all the way to the evening. And that is the commitment we actually gave to the school. So CPAS has always been an awesome partner, one of our many partners that allows platforms like these for our students to actually go in and do a lot of our community work. Now, what anchors our sensory shows is really knowing that the senses are a bridge, right? We all know how the senses offers many ways to engage, right? Sounds, textures, movement are awesome, powerful tools for connection, when oftentimes language, cognition, or even sight are barriers. And it's through this, actually, that we then start to question and refine what it means to perform, what it means to direct, and what it means to actually design a piece of work like that. Throughout the years, we have gotten a lot of feedback from teachers and parents that come to us and tell us, it's been awesome seeing our students or my child actually enjoy this so-called performance or this experience, and which they've never seen before. And I largely, believe it's because of the reduced sensory barriers that we put in place for our shows, right? That provides a very inclusive experience for all of our audiences as well. And because we are a school, we have the blessing of manpower. So before the show begins, we actually pair a student with each and every audience member. And before the show begins, about 2 weeks prior to the show, we actually send out a questionnaire so that each and every of my students would know what the access needs of each audience member may be, their likes, dislikes, and they are paired from the very get-go once the lift door opens. right? Because this is what we believe in, fostering an emotional engagement, helping my students connect to the audience on a much deeper level. It is not just about acting a particular character or designing a costume, but it is making storytelling immersive and really personally meaningful. So with that, I will pass the presentation to Sabrina, right? And she will share more about how we have collaborated over the years.
Yep. So thank you, Samantha. So I'll continue to share a little bit more about our collaboration with RP. Yep. So just a little background about our CPAS school. So CPAS school is actually a special education school that serves students with moderate to severe multiple disabilities. And our students are mainly categorized into two different levels: the junior level that range from 7 years old to 12 years old, and a senior level that range from 13 years old to 18 years old. So in our school, we do have like 3 different programs: the academic program, the functional program, and the high support program. So high support program students are mainly the group of students that are highly involved with RP, sensory circus. Yeah. So a little characteristics about our students from the high support program. So our students mainly have like complex learning needs. They may also have other disabilities or difficulties in terms of like physical disabilities or sensory impairment. They might also come with complex and severe medical conditions. Most of them are behavioral communicators, which makes them communicate through their gestures or behaviors. Yeah. And they usually require a high level of adult support in both learning and personal care. Hence, they likely need sensory stimulation as well as curriculum to be broken down into very small steps for them. So often we encounter barriers to accessibility. One of our challenges is having the right space that is suitable and meet our students' needs, and also the right engagement, the right program that actually engage our students at their level. Yeah. So that brings us to our collaboration with RP. We chance upon their sensory circles and all the work begins. Yeah. So it started off with some small little projects like the Children's Day 2023, and it went on with a little bit more intentional and partnership whereby students from RP actually actively design some the stories and the programs to tailor to our students' needs. Yeah. So like all other collaborations, it's a journey. So we started off with the connect phase where we touch base, we align our objectives for the event. We start planning and delegating the different roles and responsibilities between the 2 different schools and prepare for the execution on the event day. And then we follow up with a lot of like survey and reporting on each of our end. Yep, so our first encounter, which is Children's Day 2023, where RP actually, the sensory circus transformed our school's therapy room into a small theater for our students. How nice, right? Yeah. So they actually, as what Samantha mentioned earlier on, they run a total of 10 shows that day, within a day, with sensory features such as a 10-meter beanstalk that grows and is passed along as a mobility device to engage and interact with our students. And then there's also like fluffy clouds to actually bring the stories come alive for our students. So moving on, we actually come in collaboration to co-plan for an event, which is CPAS School High Support Holiday Program, with a common aim to enrich the quality of life for our students with disabilities through accessible, inclusive art programs. Yeah. So, and this event actually took place on the 5th of June 2024 in TRCC at Republic Polytechnic. Yeah. So our program ranged from the Odyssey Journey into the Deep Blues by Republic Polytechnic with Sensory Circus, where they put out these sensory and immersive shows for our students, and then followed by music performance by Republic Polytechnic, DSA, and also some music and movement activity to actually promote inclusive and also interactions between the students from both schools. All right, so next up we do have like CPAS School Day, Children's Day 2024. We join force again for the following year's Children's Day, and that's where RP actually put into a lot of like intentional setup for our students, where actually we go through this interactive journey where our students started on the hall floor and then moving up to the stage where they are also at the same level as the performance. So RP actually brought in these risers installed in our school hall to allow our students to be at the same level of the performance, making the performance really come very close up to our students. Yeah. So with this new experience for our students, it's really making it very memorable and exciting experience for our students as well. And in all the multiple collaborations with RP, that has made art more accessible and inclusive for our students and with disabilities. And with that, I would like to end our presentation here. Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Samantha and Sabrina. Wonderful case study there, right, in showing how practitioners going to the educators going to the ground and translating that into practice. I think we are running a bit short of time, so I'm just going to go into a very quick Q&A. I think this afternoon's theme is expanding minds, art, disability education, and shared goals. I'm just going to use that theme to, I think, get us to reflect a bit and get our panelists to share. Given your, range of experience and expertise, perhaps, can I get you all to just maybe share one practice that can help us expand our minds in this area of making arts education for persons with disability more inclusive? Can I just put it out to the panelists to offer some thoughts? Jennifer, you want to go first? Or? Sorry, that's the curse for sitting next to me.
Perhaps not practice, but I think if we truly want to work through the arts into expanding minds, being inclusive, I think time is a huge factor, like what Marvin has said. And that's also something that we saw through the research project. That in order for artists to be able to work with students, and in order for students to have that time to invest themselves in the art-making process, I think time is a big factor. When a program runs on 5 weeks and 1 hour a week, really, I think, what are we expecting out of those 5 hours? And for artists to say that, okay, we need to challenge our students to move out of their comfort zones, to think beyond what they are unable to do into what they are able to do, to remove that deficit mindset, not just from students, but also from the caregivers, from parents, from teachers, right? We need time for students to become confident of themselves, to invest in that art-making process, and also for artists, I think, to grow confident in their own practice, to get to know their students. And I think this is the process for anybody who wants to engage in the arts, not just for students with disabilities or special needs. I think that's very, very important.
Yeah, I completely mirror the answer as well. I think one practice that we do that has really helped us is to go to the community that's around whoever we are working with. So of course, communicating with our collaborator is really important to learn what they like, what they're interested to pursue, what kind of art forms they want to pursue. Those are really important. But in a school setting, what we found really helpful is to go to their teachers, their social workers, or even their friends to learn more about them. A lot of times when we come in, the reality is that we only have this amount of time to work with the child. We can't afford to have 3 weeks just to incubate this entire process. So going to the teachers, like for example at Rainbow Center, we actually work with the teachers, and the teachers have this thing called a passport for the student. And it's basically kind of identifiers of their likes and dislikes, their interests. So that already gives us an introduction to the child before we even work with them. And that helps us a lot to understand who we are working with and be able to kind of bridge that gap earlier on before even the program begins.
Yeah, I think I echo a lot to what Marvin says about the community, right? One practice, I think, coming from how we create these shows is to start by asking ourselves a question, right? how do the audience or the people that we want to work with experience sound, space, movement, touch, or even a story or the program that we are trying to produce, right? I believe that when we center their world, right, we begin to then expand our own thinking. Sometimes it's not the simplifying of the story or the program, but is understanding how we can deepen the way we think to build that connection.
As for me, coming from my role as a teacher, I really feel that I would like to see a lot more multi-sensorial experiences and interactive elements in the art spaces. It actually, in fact, we had a conversation earlier, myself and Samantha, we were saying that even ourselves, the neurotypical person, we all learn through our senses and we embrace our senses a lot. So to have that multi-sensorial elements included in any art spaces, the galleries or any performance space, it will be very inclusive for everybody. Yeah.
Thank you so much to the panelists. The question is, how do we make arts accessible to the community, especially those who are economically challenged? Anyone wants to take that one?
Perhaps I'll take that first. The Artists in School scheme that's funded by the National Arts Council, I think it's one way we respond to this, where programs in schools are actually being funded, heavy funding from the Arts Council. And the research was also in partnership with the Arts Council, where they really want to look at how effective is this program. So that's one possibility. I think some of the social service organizations that I've had conversations with, they also rely very much on funding from different associations, different institutes for those programs. Yeah, so that's my understanding of how the economically marginalized have access to some of these arts programs.
Yeah. So definitely for us, we started working with a lot of grants. So we used to be a NEC major grant holder, and then we decided that we really wanted to work with a broader community. And that's where I think it's also really important for us to be embedded into a community like Rainbow Centre, because I think that gives us an opportunity to work more holistically with the different ecosystem that is present for us. I mean, that allows us to learn a lot more about that as well. And I think with that, because there's already funding available for the students there, then that allows us to bring and bridge our program to a wider audience as a result of that. So I think for me, it's really about exploring new forms of opportunity to broaden our reach to who can actually access this program and not just rely also on grants as well. That's my personal take.
Yeah, from my experience, I think it's about partnerships, who we partner and how we partner as well. We have brought our shows across the causeway to Malaysia to very economically marginalized groups of people, and that was done through festivals as well as partnerships that recognized the need for bridging arts across all types of demographics as well. So I think the types of partnerships, schools are a big stepping stone. I represent a school, so please come and find me if you do need programs. And I think there are a lot of community programs as well, just like Super Hear Me and even CPAS, they are constantly looking for programs, and that can easily form a lower hanging barrier, bridge towards dealing with economically marginalized communities and children as well.
Coming from a school perspective, I actually agree with the rest of them. So from the school perspective, of course, we'll reach out to partners like all of you, and also we'll tap on government funding schemes like the AISS we do. Yeah, so a lot of time, we are happy to work in collaboration with any partners that would like to come on board with us. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for the panel for sharing their insights, their experience, and practical suggestions in how they have looked at inclusive art for the broader community. I think we've really learned a lot from the sharing. So can I get you all to just give them another warm round of applause? Thank you. And I think that leaves me to thank all of you for staying right till the end. This is a wonderful demonstration of commitment to the cause. And I hope that you will take some of these suggestions back to your agencies, your schools, and organizations, and look forward for you putting them into action.